Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hazeeq and this video is going to be a bit different to what we usually do on the channel. We cover crypto. However, this does have some effect on the crypto markets, and this was spread around by a lot of crypto channels on both Telegram and YouTube. So I'm here to shed light on the situation because a lot of people have been misinformed simply for the fact that they believe information at face value. And I tried to look a bit deeper into this whole US/Saudi Arabia agreement that apparently is not being renewed. And turns out there was no agreement to begin with. So let's jump straight into this and let's see what all the fuzz is about. So taking a look at this tweet from BRICS News, I couldn't verify whether this is their official Twitter or not. However, Saudi Arabia's 50-year-old petrodollar agreement with the United States has expired with no new agreement in place. Saudi Arabia will now sell oil in multiple currencies, including the Chinese, RMB, euros, yen, and yuan, instead of exclusively in US dollars. Now, obviously, this is not true at all. The deal that they are actually referring to, which I will leave a link to down below in the description. So we have a quick summary of this whole agreement in 5 pages, and then we have the entire agreement, which is 52 pages, and nowhere does it mention anything remotely close to a petrodollar, and nowhere does it mention the fact that Saudi Arabia will be required to sell oil exclusively in US dollars. So the agreement is about their economic ties, about helping Saudi Arabia modernize their military, and it was about Saudi Arabia essentially circulating back the US dollars that they have back into the US economy. That benefited both countries, it strengthened their ties, and was a good example for all of the other Arab countries. As in, look how we work with the Arabs, you guys might want to secure a deal with the US as well. That was the basic idea behind it, and nothing whatsoever, even remotely, mentions Saudi Arabia required to sell oil exclusively in US dollars. And after that, they did sell their oil in sterlings. So there was no deal that required Saudi Arabia to do that, and no one can actually bring out an agreement that specifically says that. So these are obviously fake news that have been spread around. People have been misinformed, and at face value, no one would actually think that this is a lie, because why would anyone lie about such an agreement, right? Why would anyone lie about an agreement that doesn't exist? Now, we can look at this from a different perspective. For example, such a lie would benefit someone from the BRICS, like Russia or China, or maybe someone within the US government themselves. That's up to you guys to decide, and you can have your own theories about it. However, there was no such an agreement, and we have big channels like Hazeeq here, who has been promoting this news, right? For the past 2 weeks, he uploaded 2 videos talking about how Saudi Arabia is ditching the US dollar. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know the US dollar has its issues. We all know that in the past 4 years, more than 50% of the total US dollar supply has been printed, and inflation is crazy, and there are economic struggles and issues. However, we do have to realize that not everything is true. This doesn't mean that I love the dollar. This doesn't mean that I don't see the ongoing issues with the US dollar. However, we cannot just take all of these news at face value and accept them to be true, which is what this person does. I don't know if he's getting paid. I don't know if he has a hidden agenda, but we haven't seen a video rebutting his previous 2 videos where he says, guys, actually, it's not the way it was promoted. It's actually a slightly different agreement. And this person has 2.38 million subscribers. So imagine how many people watched his videos and didn't verify the information, right? Magic of finance, Hazeeq. Well, magic of not doing your own research, looks like. But that's pretty much the whole update on this entire situation. Also, something I would leave down below in the description is this small little update from Paul Donovan regarding the dangers of confirming your beliefs. So he's just talking about how the Google Trends is reporting an astonishing spike in searches for petrodollars in the past 2 weeks. Obviously, this is due to the fact that this news has broken out in the past 2 weeks, and it has been circulating the web for more than 2 weeks at this point. And this is just another example and another reminder for all of us to do our own research to make sure that we know the information that we're being presented with is accurate and is true. Because in this case, it's very easy to confirm that this whole news was a lie. Once again, I will leave a link down below in the description to the agreement. It was a bit tricky to find it, but I did manage to find it. And make sure to call out all of these people who are persistently trying to feed you these fake news, and make sure to tell your friends or family to do their own research and not to believe everything at face value. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you didn't believe this. If you did, that's fine. It was really easy to fall into this trap. I'll also leave a link to a next big future article here talking about the actual agreement. So the milestone on June 8th, 1974, which is when the agreement was signed between the US and Saudi Arabia, was not about exclusively pricing oil in US dollars. It was about enabling Saudi Arabia to use its windfall of oil money into the US economy, which is what we mentioned before. The petrodollar system does and did become dominant, but it was for mutual economic benefit. The non-renewal of the economic cooperation agreement is an issue, but it is not the immediate collapse of the petrodollar system. Here's more of the details about it so you can read the whole thing for yourself. And you're going to say, well, the Saudi Arabia government still sells oil exclusively in the US dollar. Well, I did mention that they sold in sterlings after that agreement had been signed. And also, the reason why they sell their oil in US dollars, because it's beneficial, it's easy. Most trade is done with the US dollar, and the US dollar itself has a lot of use cases, unlike, for example, their Saudi riyal, or if you were to use the Canadian dollar, right? It's just not as common, and it doesn't have as much benefits or use cases, which the US dollar does. That's the only reason why they're doing that. And yes, the US dollar has been losing its market share. And we do know that the inflation at some point is going to lead to massive, massive issues within the US economy. However, just to double confirm, so the US is not losing its monopoly due to the fact that Saudi Arabia is switching from the US dollar to something else, because they're ditching a deal. There was no deal to begin with, guys. And if Saudi Arabia decides to start trading in other currencies, which they can and could do, then that's going to be a whole different story. But just make sure to follow through with this. Make sure to take a look at the agreement and make sure to advise everyone who believe this story to be true. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this video that's not our usual format. Let me know if you'd like me to do more of these updates, because I found I found it really interesting how such a small piece of news could be taken at face value and really distributed amongst people, especially in the crypto markets, because we have this whole narrative of the US economy collapsing and it being an empire in its late stages and so on and so forth. So it really fit with your narrative and with the narrative that we, used to or are on essentially. That's why it's very easy to believe these stories, even though they match what we believe, they're not true all the time. So thank you all for watching this video, guys. Once again, make sure to do your own research, stay safe, and goodbye.